Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to Shulchan Aruch Yomi. Today's siman is siman Chav Gimel, number 23 in Orach Chaim. We are about to conclude Hilchos Tzitzis. I think Chav Dalet is the last one. Tomorrow is the last halach of Tzitzis. I hope we've gotten a pretty good, clear picture of the mitzvah of Tzitzis, the different halachos, and of course my reactions by Ian to maybe convey more of the sod of what really Hashem had in mind with the mitzvah Tzitzis. Today we'll be discussing Dinei Tzitzos Beis Akvaros, wearing tzitzis in a cemetery. Should you not? Put them in, put them out. Let's start. Aleph. Mutter likanas Beis Akvaros who love tzitzis. You're allowed to go in Beis Akvaros. You're wearing tzitzis. Usually nigra al Akvaros. You can't be very long. I guess people had very long either begadim or very long strings, where the strings would actually be dragged on the actual coffins. Aval imhu nigrar, or the actual monument. Avalim who nigra al kvaros aser is dragging on the actual. I wouldn't say it's obviously the coffin is buried 6 feet underneath. That was a mistake. That was kind of stupid to say that. But whatever it's called, the stone. What is it called? The gravestone. The gravestone, right? It's called a gravestone. The gravestone. That's on top of the coffin, representing where the coffin is. I guess it can't be dragging on that. And if it's dragging on that, you're over your aser, mishum loeg larash. We're going to have to get more into this. Simply, it's a pasuk in Mishnah that says loeg larash cheref oseu, someone who makes fun of a poor person. A dead person is a poor person. He's poor and that he can't do mitzvos. Cheref oseu. He has demeaned him. He has thoroughly demeaned him. And that's a problem. But Medvar Amurim, when this is applied, Mayim. In the olden days, right? They used to wear four-corner garments, right? In the old days, they used to wear garments that looked like our tzitzis, meaning they had nothing disguising the flank, the side of their stomach and ribs. And that was wide open, I'm sure, right? That used to be how they dressed, of course. Aval anu she'ein mechavne el she'em mitzvah. We're only doing it for the mitzvah. So for them, when they were wearing a beged and they were in the tzitzis, so who said they were doing it for the mitzvah? They just had to do the mitzvah. So it isn't such a demeaning or embarrassing of the dead people. Also, I feel like einam negrarim. We can't even wear them, even if they're not negrarim, even if they're not dragged on. It's still a violation of loy garage. Hani milish is magulim. But even for us, it's only when they're exposed. Avalim hem machusim mutter. If they're not exposed, that's why a lot of people when they go to the cemetery, they'll tuck their tzitzis in. The interesting, the Mishnah Berurah says, so you have to tuck them in sort of into where the corner is, into that hole over there. Sounds from, he said before that, he says, Mahai time months of Katan Gimel, the Mishnah Berurah, Mahai time Gam Vitalis Katan Shalosh Tachas Al Madav, Ein Bo Mishum Al Garash, Came with Shul Mechusa. Now, this is very interesting. Mishnah Berurah is indicating that when we talked about in Siman Ches, so you're wearing your tzitzis outside, and Mishnah Berurah says definitively you got to wear it outside. The strings have to be outside, and the rest of your asid litenis hadin, you're going to have to give the judgment, the final judgment in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're mevazer the mitzvos. You haven't mekayim reisim also. Here he says, right? Us, we wear it not covered, right? I'm sorry, we wear it covered. We don't wear it out. The towel's cut, and we wear it inside. He's talking about the strings also. Unless you're going on your scissors outside, then you have to tuck them in the kanafos. He says, "What? Also wear it inside. Obviously, they're not sticking out." Steer in the Mishnah. I don't see any of the footnotes in Dirshu. Where's Dirshu when you need it? Dirshu gives you all the chumras, but they can't give you a steer in the Mishnah that maybe alludes to a kula. I'm waiting for the new dirshus to come out. The dirshus with the kulas, not the dirshus with the chumras. It's a problem, whatever. But anyway, all right, let's go on to Beis. Yesh dogim likshor shnei sitzios b'shnei knafayim. Some people, instead of tucking them in, they want to tie the two tzitzis together. So if you tie it together, it's only instead of having four corners with tzitzis, you only have two tzitzis, two strings of tzitzis. Lo ilu klum b'takanasam. He says they weren't successful. They weren't mevatel tzitzis by doing this, because it's a kesher shein al kayama. It's ati lahatir, seed lahatir. You plan on untangling when you leave the Beis Baros. So therefore, it's not a kesher shakal. It's not a kesher, and it's really four strings, not four fringes, not two fringes. Um, I mean, it's a lot worse, I would say, if you actually were successful. If it is considered kesher shakal, because then we're wearing a beged with a beged of four corners, with only two pairs of tzitzis, which would be a violation of bittul essay on the mitzvah. That's a lot bigger of the problem than putting it inside. Because you put it inside, you're still in kind of a mitzvah before. Everyone would agree to that. Anyway, Gimel. Hanichnas toch arba amos shal meito shal kever. Let's say you're not going in a cemetery necessarily. A dead person is buried in the middle of the street, or in the middle of, I don't know, a forest. Here is the grave of the man who chopped wood for all the poor people in Russia, in old Russia, and Poland. He died in the freezing snow because he was out on his horse and his horse broke its leg, and then he lost his leg to frostbite, and then he was cutting the tree and the tree fell on his head, and he ended up dying in the middle of the forest. And why was he cutting down the trees? Because all the poor people didn't have firewood. You know how it was in old Russia, Lithuania, Belarus, Poland. You know all the old stories from Hasidic folklore. He couldn't make it. He donated to 20 houses. The 21st house was his demise. He couldn't make it there. The tree fell on him and knocked him unconscious. He died, frostbite in the snow. Buried him. It was an avalanche. Avalanche are in the finals also of the NHL finals. Hopefully the Rangers will make there also. And this is a terrible story. I mean, it really is a terrible story. But he's buried in the middle of the forest, and you happen to go because you're going on one of these trips that my brother-in-law organizes to Poland. You go on these trips. You want to scout out all the most horrific sites of Jewish history. You want to go to all the graves of dead people. You want to go to all the concentration camps and make yourself as depressed as possible. So you're there anyway. You're in the forest. You want to lie there in a shama. You want to do something. You realize, oh no, this is the burial spot of Gedalia Gedilim. He's an expert in tzitzis also, but the problem is he died there. Like for us, if you go within 4 amos of his burial spot, it's like you're in the cemetery. If you're in a locality where people actually keep this minhag, right? And it's in that place it's prevalent loeg larash, meaning if you go into a cemetery, you would put your tzitzis inside. Then you have to do it over here also. But if you're in a place mashma that doesn't care about loeg larash, you don't have to follow. It's interesting halacha. People don't care about it. The Shura promptly says that's agreed. Even if people don't care about loeg larash, you have to care about loeg larash. It's halacha. Continuing the Shulchan Orach, the people that bear the dead person, that carry the dead person on his way to be buried, also they have to be worried. Loeg larash, meaning have to tuck their tzitzis in also. Interesting point the Mishnah Berurah makes. He says, let's say you go by the grave of a katan. He's not even a giyah l'mitzvah. He's not a giyah l'chinuch. I don't know, a 2-year-old kid that died. It's so terrible that he died, but he's not chayiv in the mitzvah. No. So the Mishnah Berurah says, no, you still have to wear loeg larash. Why? He says the shema nishmas adam gadol. Maybe he has the neshama of a big person. Maybe he's a gilgul, and he has the neshama of a big person. So therefore, you have to worry about it. Of course, we have to worry about gilgulim and halacha. But a woman, you don't have to worry about loeg larash. But of course, in footnote number 3 of the Dirshu, they give you a nice chumrah that says even by a woman, masik lahachmir. We don't know why, but it's going to be machmir because anyway, I don't know if what I did was called loeg l'divrei Mishnah Berurah and Shulchan Aruch, but I mean, la'izlachas don't make so much sense to me. That's Ben Sion reacts. Ask a rabbi before you take it upon yourself to follow not according to the Shulchan Aruch. Stay tuned for even Shulchan Aruch. We call it Shulchan Aruch Ben Sion Lang Reacts. I want to talk more about Log LaRush over here and destroy the theory of the Shulchan Aruch. See you there. Bye.